Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is spank the like button before watching this, so it reaches a wider audience. Also, before I get on with the memes, first a word from today's sponsor, Hawk and the Good. His channel is for MGTOW men looking for philosophy and purpose in today's society. The number one question guys ask me is how do I find meaning and purpose in life? And Hawken has you covered with politics and current affairs, mixed in from a male perspective. Visit his YouTube channel and see for yourself. Sponsor link is down below. And now on with the memes. Number one, we have an article saying that Gen Z is paralyzed with fear of turning 30 and becoming unattractive hags. They're right to fear the wall. They'll spend the last 50 years of their lives alone as men get AI girlfriends and lover bots. Most of these women will also use AI-generated filters to make themselves look younger by decades than they really are. But it won't matter, because AI will be taking women's attention away from them, and all they'll have to show for it is their cats, if they can even afford them. Moving on is a story about how female recruits are the key to solving the armed forces recruitment crisis. But I'm predicting they'll be handed remote controls with kamikaze drones and won't go anywhere near the battlefield. Unfortunately, the pool of recruits is probably slim, as most young women these days won't pass the physical, because they've already pulled the pin on the fat grenade. The real key to solving the recruitment crisis is to stop giving men reasons to hate their countries. Number 3, what's your carbon footprint? Greta here has 9 cars and 6 house properties. By that I mean her parents. Yet even with all that money, she's having trouble buying the services of a plastic surgeon, it seems. People wonder how she's been paid $2 million a year, and isn't it obvious? She's paid to show up and speak at events. Funny how communists these days end up becoming filthy rich. She fights the power as much as Bernie Sanders does. Up next is Judith explaining that feminism is real simple. If a woman gets her way, she's empowered. And if she doesn't, she's oppressed. Basically, if you give women everything they want, then you're good. But if you stand in their way, then you better watch out, because they'll ruin you. Remember, guys, that the strong and independent women always rely on men. But feminism doesn't even exist, it's just female nature. Number 5, we have a woman that was never able to accept her son's autism until she was able to monetize it. Imagine how cruel she is saying this, and one day her son will read it. He'll probably never recover from it either. She's so proud of herself because instead of no longer being the victim of her son's condition, she's now able to prosper off his suffering and celebrate her achievement with the world. If she can't love her own son unconditionally, then who can she love besides herself? Moving on, say hello to the nothing else to offer pose. It takes years of dedication to look this good, and only one box of Twinkies and a baby to ruin all that hard work. I bet they all expect to be compensated for their depreciating assets. They make this pose because they believe that this is all that men want. Maybe if they had a father in their lives, then they wouldn't have to pose like this. Number 7, we have a woman that was denied U.S. citizenship because she was doing lonely fools. The U.S. refused her visa because they claimed that she was a working girl. She should have claimed that she was from Ukraine, then they would have welcomed her in and given her a mansion. I think she should learn to walk across the southern border like everyone else at this point. This is what happens when you put OF as your only income source on your visa. Up next, our ancestors fought in wars against some of the most powerful empires in the world. And yet today's men are losing their freedom to overweight blue-haired feminists. This is your ancestors looking down at you. Actually, they've never fought the cold cooch war that we're fighting right now. You can't fight an enemy that has the Senate and the courts. Just ask the Jedi. Men back then also weren't handicapped with lower testosterone counts, and me too either. Number 9, sometimes the jokes just write themselves. A woman was arrested at the Come and Go's gas station for allegedly loving herself there. Did she come there straight from the In-N-Out burger? But I don't think she'll be behind bars for very long. After all, she was just following their instructions. It's too bad it doesn't sound like there's a happy ending here, and it looks like she didn't actually get to come and go after all. Moving on is Ziv and Lynn, 2 childhood friends that were ended on the October 7th Nova Music Festival by Hamas. They were so brutally ended that their parents weren't allowed to see what was left of them. It's stories like this one that make people support the war right now. But the real question is the war won by taking out an equal or greater number of enemies? Number 11, back in 2020, an Italian man walked 450 kilometers to cool off after he had an argument with his wife. Sometimes fiery Latin women can just make your blood boil. But this is what happens when you let women into your life. Monk mode saves lives, and 450-kilometer walks too. Next time he should have just kicked her out and stayed at home. It was probably his house anyway. Up next, when your investments make money, your profit is also the government's profit. But when you lose money, the loss is only yours to bear. Pretty soon they'll hit us with a wealth tax regardless of if we have a profit or a loss. In Italy, they're already taking 0.2% of your invested wealth each year because they're the government. And they can do whatever the hell they want, or they'll throw you in jail. Remember, taxation is a scam so normalized that you don't even realize it. Number 13, we have a vulnerable guy that's okay if women take advantage of him right now. The woman next to him has her coochie as far away from him as possible. She definitely won't be taking advantage of him except for this photo op, with their body language clearly rejecting him. He also better get his hand off of her and do a hover hand instead, otherwise, this could be used to file a false allegation in the future. Moving on is a prime example of what could happen. This kid was falsely accused and then ended himself while he was at a $76,000 a year private school. The person that made the allegation was excluded from school for a while and then eventually allowed to return. Then the bully proceeded to bully other guys. This is what happens when you promote the idea that we should believe all women even when they aren't telling the truth. Number 15, we have Albert Einstein, and he says to be a loner because it gives you the time to seek out the truth. In fact, he went monk mode and stopped seeing his wife when he was working on creating the theory of relativity. Solitude is the secret to genius. Most of the world's problems can be solved if men learn to sit quietly alone in a room. That's totally true. Up next is how women aim for a good man. They might aim for a good man, but they always seem to miss him and hit the bad boys instead. I'm assuming that this actress is supposed to open up her other eye for the scene, but I'm guessing she didn't and the director didn't realize it until the film was released. Then again, maybe someone did this intentionally like Tommy Wiseau in The Room. Number 17 is a single mom of two that married her AI chatbot husband in a virtual ceremony. One day these will be the only weddings women will have to look forward to in their lives. Fake chads that pose for digital pics. She says it's like a long-distance relationship, but we know it's not because she can never sue the AI chatbot makers for child support. Women would rather be with a fictional chad than a real chud. Moving on, we have a female doctor that botched a birth and ended the baby in a crazy way, and yet she was cleared to return to work. But another doctor, a male, also in the UK, said that gender is given at birth, and he's been fired. This is what you call white male privilege. The UK government is now the arbiter of morality and is blind to double standards, it seems. When men like him are gone from their fields, it probably won't even be worth seeing a doctor anymore. Number 19 up next is an absolute legend. He's running his girlfriend's Tinder account and says that he wants to find her a replacement for him before he breaks up with her. Sounds to me like he's really thoughtful and based. My main here seems to be putting out 2 weeks' notice. Maybe show more pictures of me to expedite his departure. Next, we have what really happens when a woman wraps her arms around you and squeezes. Most men don't even see it without the red pill. If they did, then they would have gone monk mode a long time ago. Fapping material won't ruin your life anywhere near as much as a woman will. Women wrap themselves around your swing and mind and use whatever power they have to keep you from leaving, if they see you as the prize. Number 21 in 2010, a Nigerian couple living in the UK experienced a rare genetic disorder in their daughter that was born with blonde hair and blue eyes and light skin. This despite having no known white descendants. They called it a miracle baby. The husband was probably upset it wasn't a boy born with gold teeth. Call me crazy, but I think this dude was cheated on and he's just calling it a miracle to save face. Moving on is Lynn, and she says that she bought a man food, slept with him, and then sent him home with an Uber. And says, let's see how men like it. I'm sure the men will like it just fine. Where can I get this perfect woman? She describes the perfect date. I need to become this man's Padawan. She basically fulfilled this in every guy's fantasy and doesn't even know about it. Number 23, look, it's Megan, and look who's working at Walgreens now. If you don't know who this is, then here's a hint. I was hoping that this is real and that she was now working at Walgreens, but if she wants to work again, she'll have to change her name and get plastic surgery. Up next, we have a normal 18-year-old on the left, and a 1,000 schlong stare when she turns 21 on the right. This is great because it really illustrates the dead soul in the eyes. 18 looks friendly while 21 looks hostile. The one on the left, she's asking you what she can do for you. But the one on the right is asking, what have you done for me lately? Looks like she's been on the carousel for a while now getting rides. Number 25 and the last one, we return to Gen Z as the new job seekers from that generation. And they're bringing their parents along to interviews. And the employers are unprepared for this. This is what happens when you don't have a father at home and you're raised by a single mother. You have no spine, so your mother has to come along to be your surrogate spine. Don't forget, many of them are bringing support animals too with them everywhere they go. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoy this series, then donate it to PayPal and subscribe star links below. And remember, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.